Lady Isham, your husband went up to London frequently on business, did he not?
Sometimes.
Only sometimes. What's his profession?
He's in the bookmaking business.
Would you speak up, please?
Bookmaking.
Thank you. And yet you say he only went up to London sometimes. Wasn't it more like once or twice a month for some days at a time?
It could have been, but I really...
And during these absences of your husband, Lady Isham, how often did you cook breakfast for Mr. Hammond?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about your own evidence, Lady Isham, about the moment when you went in to awaken Mr. Hammond on that disastrous Christmas morning. Now, you said, and I quote, "He turned over and muttered something about, 'No bacon, please, love.' Did he usually have bacon, Lady Isham?"
I don't know what he usually had.
Then why address that request to you?
I mean, he was asleep. He didn't even know it was me.
It was you who screamed, Lady Isham?
Mr. Dealey, are you suggesting that Mr. Hammond was accustomed to being woken by a scream?
My lord, I am suggesting that the voice of the beloved remains the voice of the beloved in whatever timbre it is pitched.
I fear, Mr. Dealey, that you are unlikely to bring home the bacon by that line of examination.
I'm obliged, my lord. Bob Hammond was your lover, wasn't he, Lady Isham?
No.
You're quite sure?
Positive.
Oh, what then was the reason for your violent quarrel with your husband on Christmas Eve?
I never quarrelled with my husband.
Oh, why then did he not come with you to this party?
He was working.
On Christmas Eve?
He was a very hard worker.
Yes, no doubt that was why he was always so tired, Lady Isham.
Tired?
Well, you told his lordship and the jury that he didn't come to this party with you because he was so tired, Lady Isham.
So he was.
But not too tired to work.
You're getting me all confused. I don't know what I'm saying.
I put it to you, Lady Isham, that you quarrelled violently with your husband on that night. That you stormed out of the room blind with anger.
No, lies, all lies.
Because you had asked him for a divorce and he'd refused.
No, it wasn't that at all. It was...
Yes, Lady Isham, it was what?
You're getting me all confused. I don't know what I'm saying.
He'd found out, hadn't he? That was what it was, about you and Bob Hammond. And he threatened to divorce you.
That wasn't it at all.
And alimony is never quite the same, is it, Lady Isham, as being the wife of a rich baronet? Or better still, his rich widow?
So, Miss Webster, you are quite positive that nobody left Mr. Hammond's flat between 9 o'clock on Christmas Eve and the moment that you let everybody out on Christmas Day?
Oh, yes, most certainly. Absolutely.
And if anyone had left the flat, you would have seen them go?
Definitely. Oh, quite definitely.
Thank you.
Was it a good party, Miss Webster?
Oh, quite delightful. I'm afraid...
Yes, Miss Webster?
I'm afraid I got just a teensy bit tiddly.
You don't mean drunk?
Oh, no, just a little fuzzy. But I can remember everything that happened, everything.
And when did you cease to feel fuzzy, Miss Webster?
When we started playing Scrabble.
Ah, yes, of course. Now, you were locked in, so you began to play Scrabble, and then?
It got light, and Lady Isham went into Mr. Hammond's room and came out screaming, and I climbed up the chimney.
A very brave thing for you to do.
I have had quite considerable speleological experience, you see.
I beg your pardon?
Potholing.
Ah.
In my younger days.
So it was an easier task for you to do than anybody else in the room?
Oh, I don't think any of them could have done it at all. I mean, the gentleman or Lady Isham.
No, quite. It was a very gallant action, Miss Webster.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed it, actually.
Then why not do it earlier?
I beg your pardon?
Well, why wait so long before thoroughly enjoying yourself, Miss Webster? Why wait until the morning before going up the chimney?
Well, actually...
Yes, Miss Webster?
I was enjoying the Scrabble so much. You see, I can never find anyone to play it with me, usually.
And are you quite positive that nobody could have left that room at any time without your knowledge?
Oh, yes, positive.
What about the odd moment when you left the room?
Oh, but I never left the room.
Never?
Oh, no.
Extraordinary. Now, we know that you were village schoolmistress in Little Retching, so I dare say you've lived there most of your life.
Yes, I have.
And I suppose you knew Sir Stanley very well.
I taught him at school. And his brother Nicholas, too.
And what rent do you pay for your flat, Miss Webster?
I don't
Would
see
you
what
please answer the question?
Well, nothing.
Nothing?
Well, it was Sir Martin. You see, he very
It was an arrangement entered into in Sir Martin's time, was it?
Yes, yes.
And how did Sir Stanley feel about this? I mean, after all, he was a businessman. He could have let that flat for a very high rental.
Oh, but he couldn't, you see.
Oh, why not?
Because Sir Martin put it expressly in his will. As long as there are Ishams at Retching Hall, that is to be my home.
But supposing Sir Stanley sold the property?
Oh, but he couldn't do that either.
Oh?
No, it was entailed, you see. The house. So there will always be Ishams at Retching Hall, whatever Stanley might have wanted.
Mr. Standish, you were, I understand, once the butler to Sir Martin Isham.
Yes, sir.
Did you hold that position at the time of his death?
Not precisely, sir, no. May I explain, my lord?
Please do.
Well, Sir Martin, in common with many of the landed gentry, suffered pecuniary stresses during the latter years of his life, and it became to him increasingly impossible to maintain the hall in a manner into which he, and indeed myself, had become accustomed, and so he decided to subdivide the building into flats, while maintaining the whole of the ground floor for his own use, sir.
And you?
I remained in his service, sir. I would never desert Sir Martin.
As butler?
No, sir, no, as gentleman's personal gentleman, sir.
Ah. Did you live in the same flat with Sir Martin during his lifetime?
Oh, no, sir, no, that would, it wouldn't have been my place to do so, but Sir Martin was kind enough to make arrangements for me to have a small apartment at the top of the building, sir.
And were you employed as gentleman's personal gentleman by Sir Stanley when he inherited?
No, sir.
But you remained in residence, presumably rent-free?
Yes, Sir Martin had made provision for that, sir. As long as there were Ishams at Retching Hall, I shall never lack a home. Those were his exact words, sir, in his will.
Yes, quite. Now, to come to the night of this party on Christmas Eve, did you leave Mr. Hammond's flat at all during the course of the evening?
On no occasion, sir.
And to your knowledge, did anyone else do so?
Only one person, sir, Mr. Hammond, at approximately 1 a.m., sir.
Yes, we've heard that. And then?
Well, then, as we were all virtual prisoners, we amused ourselves by engaging in a contest of philological expertise, sir.
You mean you played Scrabble?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And later?
Well, later I prepared and served breakfast, and in due course Miss Webster procured our release.
And you are quite positive that during all this time, nobody except Mr. Hammond left that flat?
Quite, sir.
Thank
you. Mr. Standish, you say you did not act as gentleman's personal gentleman to Sir Stanley when he inherited. Did he ask you to?
Well, he did intimate some such desire, sir.
And you refused his offer?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Sir Stanley was not a gentleman, sir.
Oh, in what way?
His behaviour was singularly lacking in everything that denotes a gentleman.
His manner towards you, perhaps?
Well,
could you give us an example?
Must I, my lord?
Yes, Mr. Standish, I'm afraid you must.
Well, he used to call me Reggie boy, sir.
I have no further questions, my lord.
I call Sir Nicholas Isham. Now, you are quite sure that you did not leave that flat for any purpose or at any time between your arrival the night before and lunchtime on Christmas Day?
Absolutely positive, old lad.
And did you see anyone else leave the flat?
Well, only old Bob here on the warpath in the wee small hours.
Thank you, Sir Nicholas.
What was your financial position at the time of your brother's death, Sir Nicholas?
Well, I jogged along with it.
On what?
I don't quite get you, old chap.
Sir Nicholas, I put it to you quite bluntly that your manner of life was one which caused your father great concern, that he financed you in various dubious business enterprises, and this contributed greatly to his own personal financial problems. And upon your father's death, your brother told you in no uncertain terms that you would have to find your own way in the world. Is that so?
That's all rather a mouthful, old man.
Is that so, Sir Nicholas?
Well, he couldn't, could he?
Couldn't what?
Throw me out.
Why not?
Because the old dad said in his will that I'd always have a home there as long
as the Eashams remain at the Hall.
That's about right, yes.
And now the Hall is yours and all your troubles are over.
That's about the size of it, yes.
But not quite over, are they, Sir Nicholas?
Sorry?
Well, you do have the Hall, yes, but not the money, because your brother's fortune, his very considerable fortune, was his own. So, what are you living on now, Sir Nicholas?
Well, I managed to...
Jog along.
You could put it that way, yes.
Yes, I'm obliged. You are, if I may say so, a very good-looking man, Sir Nicholas.
Thank you.
And would I be right in thinking, perhaps, a ladies' man?
Well, I've always got on with the fillies.
Particularly the rich fillies, Sir Nicholas?
Well,
Well, come now, no false modesty, I pray you. After all, we're all men of the world.
Well, it's no crime against liking a well-turned-out woman, is there?
Indeed, no. And I'm sure they were all quite satisfied with the relationship.
No complaints, old chap.
No, I'm sure they weren't. And if any of these ladies felt like giving you a small token of their regard, as you say, there is no law against it. How old are you, Sir Nicholas?
What?
How old are you, Sir Nicholas?
Must I?
Yes.
Just coming up to the best years of my life, old chap.
Coming up.
45.
Yes, I see. Now, you spoke a moment ago about Mr. Hammond going down the stairs in the wee small hours on the warpath. Now, what did you mean by that, Sir Nicholas?
Well, old Bob was thirsting for a fight, that's all.
Could you help us by being a little more specific?
Well, there was bad blood there. There's no getting around it.
What, between Mr. Hammond and your brother?
That's right, yes.
Why?
It was none of my business, was it?
No, of course not. But you were on the scene, an intelligent man who keeps his eyes open. Surely you had some inkling. Was a possible reason, perhaps, Lady Easham's interest in Mr. Hammond?
Lady Easham's faults?
Well, she was in love with him, Sir Nicholas. We have been informed so.
I don't know who's been informing you, old chap, but whoever it was, I don't know what they're talking about. Well, it was only the day before the party. She told me.
Yes, Sir Nicholas? Do go on. She told you what? That you didn't really care for Mr. Hammond.
That's right, yes.
That was rather odd, wasn't it, confiding in you out of the blue like that? Or was there some particular reason? Such as the fact that she really loved you?
Well, there's no harm in that, is there?
No, there's no harm at all. After all, she's a widow now, isn't she? A very rich widow.
She doesn't own the house.
But she has her husband's money, doesn't she? Do you intend to marry Lady Easham, Sir Nicholas?
I'd say everything.
But then again, marriage was never found necessary before, was it? Does Lady Easham know about that side of your jogging along, Sir Nicholas?
I can't explain everything.
Nicholas, stop! Don't admit anything. She's lying. She's been lying to you all along. She's making a fool of you, Nicky. I've seen her carrying on with him in the potting shed.
Madam, I must ask you...
She was lying in this very court. They've all been lying. They all of them left that flat, every one of them. I left the flat too. And when I came back, there was no one there. No one at all.